One Page Weekly with Nick Slavik. Independence. Data plus feelings. Not this week. Just an interesting story, at least to me. 21 years ago, on this day, I was only weeks out of the Army, having served from 2000 to 2004. I was fresh off of deployments from Afghanistan and Iraq. I had spent weeks doing the long, slow plod of the Army exit process, making 5 to 8 stops each day on the base in North Carolina with a huge stack of papers, some of which were actually important. Getting signatures and checking things off so I could formally go home. My contract with the federal government would be done. I loaded everything I owned into my pickup, and my soon-to-be wife Toots and I headed to the beach before making the long drive back to Minnesota. I met her on leave from Afghanistan at a college in central Minnesota. Beautiful fate. Once home, I found a place to stay with my friend Brian. I was free from federal service, grew a beard, painted with my father, tended bar on the weekends, and enrolled in college. July 4th rolled around and we celebrated like thousands of other small towns in the United States Midwest. There were parades, fireworks, barbecues, and informal gatherings of friends. I don't remember all of it because that's how memory works, but I do remember watching the local fireworks with Toots from my friend Brian's home. He lived on a hill that has a great view. Somewhere near the end of the fireworks, I felt a swell inside of me, not something I was in control of. In the dark, on that hill with my future wife, I had a really interesting break from my normal emotions. Accurate description would be uncontrolled outpouring of emotions from an unknown source directed to something or someone else I did not understand. Best and honest description would be I cried hard. Toots put her arms around me for a long time. She asked me some really good questions, and it eventually faded. I asked her not to tell anyone about this, ever. Back then, I believed that my wife believed that this was caused by war. It was not. Now, we both likely know it was something else. I knew it then, and I know it now, but more clearly with a whole bunch of life experience. I did see confusing things that would shape how I feel about humanity and about my role in all of this. But I did not experience what most people thought I had experienced. If I'm being honest, I still really don't know what caused it, but I've learned to pay close attention to those swells of emotions. They mean something. For me, the pattern is that they are an indication of me coming really close to one of my deep passions and deep purposes, the things that are most meaningful to me. My body has a way of telling me so. I know this now. About 5 years after this happened, my wife and I, some of our kids, and some friends were sitting in the dark on the deck in our 1917 Craftsman home that overlooked the local fireworks. I leaned over partway through the display, thanked her for keeping that experience between us. I did that randomly every so often. If I'm being honest again, I feel self-conscious about writing this. Not because of sharing a potentially vulnerable side of myself. Anyone who knows me knows I do this readily, and most recently, in large groups of people in public. But because I still don't know fully what this was. But it was a beautiful experience, and something only my wife and I had shared. Perhaps finally being an adult was the cause. I'd wanted to be an adult since I was a kid. I wanted to be out there, trying stuff, exploring, not being told what to do. I wanted to fail freely and find my own success. I've taken what independence I have for granted, always yearning for some other form of it. I don't now. Things that can be burdensome to others, jobs, kids, spouses, being a citizen, are small forms of beautiful independence for me now. That swell was not negative. It was a biological letting of things built up from decades of conditioning. And it meant something. And I bet I'm not the only one who had a similar upbringing who experienced something like this. Some of this was likely that. But most of it is still a mystery to me. And I'm okay with a bit of mystery when it comes to this stuff. always have been. This has been One Page Weekly with Nick Slavik.